Imagine buying a building where most of your customers hope they never have to visit. They pay you every single month, not because they're using your product every day, but because they simply don't want to let it go. No chefs, no expensive inventory, no trendy storefront, no packed parking lot, just rows of locked doors, quietly collecting rent. It sounds almost too simple. Yet across the world, self-storage has quietly become one of the most profitable real estate businesses ever created. So what makes a business built on forgotten furniture, dusty boxes, and old bicycles so incredibly valuable? The answer has very little to do with buildings, and everything to do with human psychology. At first glance, a self-storage facility doesn't look impressive. Drive past one and you'll probably see a long fence, dozens of identical garage-style doors, and maybe a small office near the entrance. Compared to shopping malls, hotels, or apartment complexes, it almost looks empty. But appearances can be deceptive. Every one of those metal doors represents a monthly payment. Behind one door might be a family storing furniture during a move. Another could belong to a small online business keeping extra inventory. Another might contain tools, holiday decorations, old photo albums, or a classic motorcycle waiting for summer. Each customer has a different story, yet they all produce the same outcome: recurring revenue. Most people assume successful businesses need constant activity. Restaurants need full tables. Airlines need passengers. Retail stores need shoppers walking through the door. A self-storage facility often needs none of that. The business can look almost deserted while quietly generating thousands or even millions of dollars every year. That feels strange because we're trained to associate busyness with profitability. But economics tells a different story. Revenue isn't created by movement. It's created by value. People are willing to pay for repeatedly, and that's where things become interesting. Think about your own home for a moment. Open a closet. Look inside. There are probably clothes you haven't worn in years, old electronics, childhood memories, holiday decorations, maybe sports equipment collecting dust. Now imagine someone tells you to throw everything away. Suddenly, those forgotten items feel valuable. Not because they've changed, because your emotions have. Humans don't assign value logically. We assign value emotionally. Psychologists call one part of this the endowment effect. Once we own something, we naturally believe it's worth more simply because it's ours. That old chair sitting in your garage, someone else might pay $20 for it. You might refuse to sell it for $200 because it reminds you of your grandparents. To an economist, that's irrational. To a human being, it's completely normal. Self-storage businesses quietly monetize this emotional attachment. They're not really renting space. They're renting peace of mind. And people gladly pay for it month after month. Here's a simple thought experiment. Imagine you own a collection of boxes that would cost $3,000 to replace. A storage unit costs $150 per month. After 2 years, you've paid $3,600, more than the value of many of the items inside. Logically, you should probably let them go. But logic rarely wins against emotion. Instead, people continue paying because making the decision feels harder than making the payment. This tiny psychological gap creates an enormous business opportunity. Now everything changes. Let's imagine two entrepreneurs. The first opens a coffee shop. Every morning starts before sunrise. They order ingredients, manage employees, worry about food waste, deal with customer complaints, rising labor costs, and unpredictable sales. Every day starts at zero. No customers today, no revenue. Now meet the second entrepreneur. They own a self-storage facility. Most customers already signed contracts weeks, months, or even years ago. Payments arrive automatically. Employees are minimal. Inventory doesn't spoil. No one expects luxury. Maintenance is relatively predictable. Of course, there are repairs, insurance, taxes, marketing, and financing costs. It's not effortless. But compared to many traditional businesses, the operating complexity is remarkably low. That's why investors love businesses with recurring revenue. Predictability reduces uncertainty, and markets reward predictable cash flow. Think of it like planting a field. Some businesses require you to plant new seeds every morning. Others produce crops season after season. Self-storage belongs much closer to the second category. But here's what most people never notice. The real product isn't storage, it's flexibility. Life constantly changes. People move, couples get married, families grow, children leave home, businesses expand. Someone inherits furniture. Someone downsizes after retirement. A military deployment begins, a divorce happens, a house renovation starts. Every major life event creates temporary uncertainty. Storage becomes the bridge between one chapter and the next. Instead of making difficult decisions immediately, people buy time, and buying time often feels worth the monthly fee. This is why demand doesn't depend on just one industry. It comes from life itself. The economy changes, technology changes, consumer trends change. Human transitions never stop. Let's go deeper. Imagine a growing city. New apartment buildings appear everywhere. Developers realize they can fit more families into smaller spaces. A two-bedroom apartment that once measured 1,200 square feet now measures 850. People gain convenience, but they lose storage space. Where does everything else go? Into storage units. Urbanization quietly fuels demand. As cities become denser, space becomes more expensive. Self-storage effectively sells extra square footage without requiring customers to buy larger homes. It's almost like renting an external closet. That makes storage surprisingly connected to housing economics. When home prices rise, people often choose smaller homes. When homes shrink, storage demand grows. The relationship isn't perfect everywhere, but the trend has appeared repeatedly in many growing markets. Now consider small businesses. Imagine someone starts selling handmade candles online. Their first inventory fits inside a bedroom. A few months later, boxes fill the hallway. Soon the garage disappears beneath shipping supplies. Renting a commercial warehouse feels too expensive. A storage unit becomes the perfect middle step. It's affordable, flexible, and scalable. Thousands of small businesses use storage this way. E-commerce, contractors, photographers, event planners, landscapers, electricians, antique dealers. The list keeps growing. In many cases, storage facilities quietly support entrepreneurship without anyone noticing. That's only half the picture. The economics become even more interesting when you compare customer behavior. Think about a gym membership. Many people sign up with excitement. Then, motivation fades. Ironically, many continue paying, not because they use the gym, but because they hope they'll return someday. Storage customers behave similarly. Many initially believe they'll empty the unit within 3 months. Then 6 months pass. A year, 3 years, sometimes even a decade. The monthly payment slowly becomes part of the background. It blends into everyday life. Behavioral economists call this inertia. Once a recurring payment feels normal, people rarely question it. Changing requires effort. Keeping things the same feels easier. Businesses built around low-friction recurring payments often enjoy remarkably stable revenue. That doesn't mean customers are trapped. They can cancel any time. But human habits create surprising persistence. History offers another fascinating lesson. During economic booms, people buy more things. Furniture, electronics, recreational equipment, business inventory, storage demand grows. But what happens during recessions? Interestingly, demand doesn't necessarily disappear. People lose jobs, move into smaller homes, close offices, merge businesses, relocate. All of those transitions also create storage needs. In other words, self-storage sometimes benefits from entirely opposite economic conditions. Growth creates demand. Disruption also creates demand. Very few industries experience this unusual balance. Of course, no business is recession-proof. Occupancy rates and pricing can fluctuate. Some markets become oversupplied. poorly located facilities struggle. But compared to businesses dependent on discretionary daily spending, storage often demonstrates impressive resilience. Here's another hidden advantage. Imagine managing an apartment building. Tenants live there. They expect working plumbing, heating, cooling, repairs, noise complaints, landscaping, emergency maintenance. Now imagine managing rows of storage units. No kitchens, no bathrooms inside individual units, no late-night plumbing disasters, far fewer maintenance surprises. Lower operating complexity often translates into higher operating margins. Investors pay close attention to this because profitability isn't just about revenue. It's about how much revenue remains after expenses. That's where efficient business models shine. Let's explore the pricing strategy. Airlines constantly change ticket prices. Hotels adjust nightly rates. Ride-sharing apps surge during busy hours. Storage facilities use a quieter version of dynamic pricing. If occupancy rises, prices often rise. If many units become available, promotions appear. Different unit sizes carry different pricing. Climate-controlled units command higher rates. Ground floor access may cost more than upper floors. Drive-up convenience carries additional value. Just like airlines sell economy and business class, storage facilities segment customers based on convenience rather than luxury. Same business, different willingness to pay, economics at work. Now picture two neighbors. One fills every room of a massive house. The other lives comfortably in a smaller home while renting a modest storage unit. Who spends less? Surprisingly, the second person might. Instead of paying hundreds of thousands of extra dollars for additional living space, they rent only the storage they occasionally need. Storage can actually become an economically efficient solution. That explains why many people willingly choose it. The business isn't merely selling empty rooms. It's helping customers optimize expensive real estate. Now let's look at one of the industry's biggest competitive advantages. Location. A storage facility doesn't need to sit on the most expensive downtown intersection. Customers don't visit every day. Many only come once a month, some even less. That gives operators flexibility. Land slightly outside premium retail districts often costs far less while remaining perfectly acceptable for customers. Lower land costs combined with recurring revenue create attractive investment economics. But here's where careful investors separate opportunity from hype. Not every storage facility is a gold mine. Suppose a city already has far more storage units than residents need. Competition intensifies. Discounts increase. Occupancy falls. Returns shrink. The same business model can produce very different results depending on supply and demand. This is one of the oldest economic lessons. Even great businesses become poor investments when too many people rush into them. That's why professional investors spend enormous amounts of time studying local demographics, population growth, household income, housing construction, migration, business activity, land availability. The building matters. The market matters even more. Let's zoom out. The global economy has shifted dramatically over the last century. We once spent most of our income on necessities. Food, shelter, clothing. Today, many households own dozens of products previous generations could barely imagine. Gaming consoles, camping gear, fitness equipment, seasonal decorations, extra furniture, office equipment, collectibles. As wealth grows, possessions accumulate faster than available space. Storage becomes an invisible piece of modern consumer life. In a strange way, self-storage is a reflection of abundance. It exists because people own more than they can comfortably keep at home. That realization reveals something deeper. Economics isn't only about money, it's about human choices. Every storage unit tells a story. A young couple saving furniture before buying their first house. Parents protecting childhood memories. An entrepreneur building a dream one shipment at a time. A retiree preserving decades of family history. Behind every locked door is a decision. Keep, wait, hope, remember. Those emotions create recurring revenue far more effectively than many people realize. If you're interested in investing or starting businesses, this lesson extends far beyond storage facilities. The biggest opportunities often don't come from flashy technology or viral trends. They come from solving ordinary problems that millions of people experience every day. The most successful businesses frequently make life slightly easier, slightly less stressful, or slightly more convenient. Those small improvements compound into enormous industries. Just like compound interest quietly grows wealth, simple business models quietly create fortunes when they're built on lasting human behavior instead of temporary excitement. So the next time you drive past a self-storage facility, don't just see rows of metal doors. See an economics lesson hidden in plain sight. A business powered by psychology instead of excitement, by recurring revenue instead of constant sales, by life's transitions instead of passing trends. Because sometimes the most profitable businesses aren't the loudest ones. They're the ones quietly solving problems people never stop having. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden economics behind everyday businesses, consider subscribing for more deep dives into investing, wealth building, and the financial ideas shaping the world around us. And if you'd like to continue, watch the next video where we explore another surprisingly profitable business model hiding in plain sight. You may never look at ordinary businesses the same way again.